Hello, everybody. It is your girl, Destiny Gilliam from the Creative Reading Coach. And you know, I specialize in creating the most simplified tools for you to teach your baby how to read. Today, I am joined by a special guest, a dear friend of mine, a personal friend of mine, and a college friend of mine from North Carolina A&T State University, Andy Pride.
Aggie Pride.
Miss Melissa Ross. She is the owner and the founder of Ross Rehabilitation Services. Go ahead and take a moment and introduce yourself, Miss Melissa.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, first of all, Destiny, for having me on your platform. I really appreciate it. And to be able to spread the news about speech therapy. I have been a speech language pathologist for 8.5 years. And
Wow.
I know it's a long time, I feel.
You've
But
been out of school that long?
we have. We've been out of school for about 10 and a half years now. So it's been that long.
Oh my
For
gosh.
8.5 years, I've been a speech language pathologist. I reside in Wake Forest, North Carolina.
Okay.
My business is out of Henderson, North Carolina, so that 252 area code.
Okay.
Also service Franklin County, Durham County, Wake County, and Granville County. So that's like Oxford, Raleigh, Durham, Franklinton area,
Wow.
and Lewisburg.
So you're busy.
Busy, busy.
Wow. That's
Yes.
crazy. That's insane. So you're kind of just you service a particular area, but you go throughout like that whole Raleigh, Durham area
Yes.
type situation.
And really what I wanted to do with my business is find an area where they did not have resources or services, because sometimes
Okay.
therapists like to stay in the Raleigh Durham area, which is a big area. So that
Okay.
definitely covering all corners of that area. But I felt that my services could be utilized, better utilized, in an area that had no one, rather than
Got it.
30 speech language pathologists in that certain area.
Gotcha. So that's crazy to me that we're in 2020 and there are areas that are like almost literally speech and literacy deprived.
Yes, yes, there are. I find it that people are scrounging around and saying, "Oh my goodness, we didn't know that someone would come to our area." And I'm like,
Wow.
I definitely can drive. That's nothing. That's nothing to me to drive to your area and to help and give you the services or my best that I
Right.
can give to you that
Gotcha.
other kids in the inner city areas are already getting.
Mm, that's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. So talk to me before we dive into like the deep stuff of the reading and all that good stuff. What is a speech language pathologist? What is the role of a speech language pathologist?
Well, I'm not going to make it too long
Okay.
because there are so many areas that we address. But
Okay.
really, it's someone who is licensed, who has
Okay.
been through 6 years of rigorous training, um,
Okay.
undergraduate and 2 years of graduate school. Um,
Okay.
so we have two sides. I like to kind of do a two-sided thing. So first, there are those who specialize with the pediatric population, so working with
Okay.
children. And then there are those who work with the geriatric side. So those are the adults. So we
Got it.
cover a wide range of disabilities.
Uh-huh.
We work with speech, articulation, fluency, which can encompass stuttering and cluttering. We do articulation, if I didn't already say that. Receptive, expressive language, which is the understanding, so what you're able to receive,
That's good.
and then the expressive side, what you're able to produce, those sentences, those words, answering questions, that feedback that you're getting back to someone. And then the whole another side is swallowing. So shout out to all of my speech therapists who deal with
Wow.
swallowing disorders and disabilities. So that's a whole other
Got
side.
it. Okay. You know, it really sparked me. I'm interested in this for a few reasons, but close to my heart is my own baby Nova. So we recently had her evaluated for speech issues. But
Okay.
like she was like, you didn't even tell me. I didn't. I know, I
I
know.
know. I'm like, oh wait, we talked about one but not the other. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but it sparked me because the work that I do, and I know it's kind of aligned a little bit to speech pathologists, but more in an academic context.
Mm-hmm.
But what sparked me is I didn't realize that kids, Nova's scores were literally off the charts in receptive language. She
Mm.
understood every single thing and beyond. But when it came to her expressive language, that's where we saw the delays. And she just turned 20 months on the 22nd.
Oh, wow. And most of what we see, we start at the 18-month um, age range,
Yep.
and then we, of course, go all the way up
Right.
until your last breath. That's really
Right.
from birth to death. But, and my baby came through your program.
Yes.
We talked a lot about her. So, it's
Yes.
personal for both of us.
Yes.
Personal.
Yes.
And as a specialist, you have to lean on others, because sometimes you're like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on. I need
Yeah.
help. And
Yeah.
who can I call? And thank God you are able to call someone and say, girl,
Yeah.
what I'm seeing. And sometimes, they kind of can overlap with the things
Mm.
that you see. And so when you're talking about that receptive, and normally, not really normally, I'll take that back. Sometimes
Mhm.
in my practice, I will see that they're able to understand, but then there's just that disconnect with the expressive language. And that's something that we didn't have to target, to make sure
Yeah.
that those scores with the receptive equal the scores with the expressive language.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of parents that come to me, they
Mhm.
don't really understand the connection between speech and then academic success, basically.
Yes.
So talk to me about how speech is related to students and their academic success, particularly when they're like in that elementary category. What's the connection that you've seen?
So the connection, they really go hand in hand. So they
Okay.
are partners all day.
Okay.
Many of your speech language pathologists that work in school work alongside those instruction specialists. They
Mm.
work alongside of the teachers, whether it
Uh-huh.
be special education, whether it be regular ed teachers. So we work hand in hand together, because we want to follow what you're doing in the classroom to make sure it's making sense when we do our pull out. So
That's
things that
good.
they're having trouble with, I mean, there's a many different areas in the academic setting of what they can be having trouble with language wise. Is it that they're not able to understand? Is it that we should break it down? Is it that we should ask them in a different way, or expressively get what we need from that child? Is it that you are unable to understand that child? So sometimes
Okay.
the child could say everything right, but can you understand it? That's that
Mm.
the articulation piece that we have to then address and say, okay,
Okay.
what sound errors is going on, or how can I make it where you are able to understand that child and not count off
Got
for
it.
what that child is saying.
Got it. So
So
talk to me about this. Why I didn't mean to
you're
interrupt
fine,
you.
you're fine, you're fine.
Even when I listen to my own son speak, talk to me about how when it comes to the articulation and even how their brain works to put sentences together. So like my son, he'll say, I I write my dinosaurs instead of saying I am writing my dinosaurs. So talk to me about how that could impact learning as well. Like having those things and then it going untouched and then them going into like school, because the ultimate goal for a parent is for their child to be successful in school so they can be successful people and get out of our pockets, you know what I mean?
I'm going through the same thing as well. I will tell you, just working with, my personal experience, working
Okay.
with my child, working with reading, not reading, but writing, because they all
Okay.
go hand in hand. So I sometimes have to maybe jar or get her to understand that, okay, well, this is what you're missing. And that different parts of speech was sometimes like, okay, well, no, you're missing this specific part of speech. And
Okay.
so you need to go and build upon that to then make your sentences where others can understand.
Okay.
A lot of that, I'll try to say, okay, hey, let's go back. I want you to put these words together and then listen, because that's number one. Can you listen,
Mm,
understand exactly what you're saying? Does that make sense?
right.
And then going back and saying, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. Or I see that you're having a problem with your pronouns. I deal with a lot of pronouns,
Okay.
a lot of verbs. Okay, well,
My
making
baby.
sure making sure that they agree, that subject
Right.
and verb, but something's not adding up. So we have to kind of dissect it and break it down and say, okay, well, we're missing this word. Let's try this word and put it in different contexts. There is actually an evaluation that deals with that.
Okay.
And actually at the elementary, because it starts at 6 years old.
Okay.
I'm sorry, excuse me, 5 years old.
Okay.
And it looks at, you have a bunch of words, and
Mhm.
how are you going to make it make sense in a sentence? How are you going to use all of these different words to then put it in order to make the sentence make sense?
What's the name of that assessment?
It is the self. It is, oh, girl, hold on, wait.
Okay.
Hold on. It's the clinical, hold on, evaluation. I'm gonna have to stop this and start this again. Um, Language fundamentals. I had to write it out.
Okay.
Hold on.
And the
Okay.
only reason I asked for that is two reasons. Is because, well, number one, I want to know it for my son.
Okay.
So when I go somewhere, I'm like, hey, we need to do this assessment. But
Mm-hmm.
number two, women are going to watch this and
Okay.
they're going to say, that's my baby. And, we want to empower them to be able to go into this
And know
language
what you
pathologist
asked for.
and
Mm-hmm.
ask for it. It's so crazy how, and this is going to get off subject a little bit, but I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to swing it back around, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But it's so funny how, as communities of color, we've been so used to just taking what someone has given us instead of going in educated and saying, no, I know that this is available and I've done my own research and this is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So I want to equip our community, anybody really, but I want to equip our community to be able to advocate for themselves because, girl, they're giving us anything. I say anything. They're giving us anything and just, moving on with it.
And I would just say this, when you're going into an evaluation, a lot
Okay.
of people just graze over or generalize what's going on.
Okay.
We'll break that thing down, because
Oh,
then
right.
it could spark and say, okay, no, I need to use this test versus this, because there's so many that we have in our
Okay.
portal. You want to make sure that you have the correct test, or if you don't have it, go get it from someone or borrow it from a colleague. Somebody
Okay.
have a test, you don't. But that will give you an insight into how you can create the goals, because we create the goals based upon areas that are not what's what I'm going to use, that
That aren't
are
mastered.
they're not mastered. They're poor. Like, I look for the poorest areas. I'm going to
Yeah.
start here. So that was one, and I'm looking at my own child and saying,
Right.
we might have to, reach out, or we might have to figure this thing out, because that's not an area that I was thinking of. I'm like, oh, you've got it. You can make some sentences. I
Yeah.
had to create your own sentences anyway, but it was until she had a homework assignment that did the exact same thing that was on this evaluation. I said, oh no.
Yeah.
You might need to look further and make sure that all of these language concepts that you really have, because people sometimes will come to me and say, oh, it's just I can't understand. But I never just do an articulation. That's just one
Right.
area, without looking at the whole picture, or
Okay now.
the whole language.
Yeah.
You want to look at it across the board, and that's even things I've been taught throughout my clinical experience, and
Yeah.
saying, you never just want to do one. Even if you pass the whole language thing, that's fine. That's not an area. You say it's not an area, that's
Right.
fine. But I feel like a clinician who is well-rounded will say, let me look at all of the areas and make sure that I can say, You don't
Feedback.
need this assessment. You don't need,
Yeah.
is this what the parent was saying? But you always want to make sure that you are well rounded and make sure that you give the best.
So then that brings me to my next question, and
Mhm.
I'm probably going off our list, but let me make sure. I'm,
It's okay. We get to talking.
I'm
Yes.
telling you. So when you go through it, because even with my son, he was in speech therapy here in Charlotte
Okay.
before the quarantine hit.
Okay.
But to be honest, it was like after a while, the goals just seemed dry, and it was like I'm paying extra money for you to do this, and I can do this at home. You know what I mean? So,
True.
how do you, as a parent, what would you recommend to a parent in order to make sure that those goals? Because I know every parent isn't like me who can sit down and do certain things.
Hmm.
What would you recommend to a parent who does not have that content knowledge? How do you stay abreast of the goals? Like, should we be looking at 6 month goals? Should we be looking at 3 week? Like, how do you gauge that speech language is working for your kid and moving in the right direction?
Having that conversation,
Okay.
open that door of saying, okay, this is not working, and say it's not working.
Okay.
When you feel that you're getting to a bridge where it's like, I don't know, this is not going the way I expected it to go, have that conversation. And the person who you're working with should really then take the time out,
Mm-hmm.
explain the process, because not everybody understands the process. There are different diagrams and charts and stuff, and
Yeah, for sure.
this is where we are. And what I always tell my parents, it's a journey. Some
Okay.
days you're going to love it. Some days I'm going to be the best person in the world. Other days you might not quite understand what I'm doing.
Mm.
And so having that dialogue and saying, well, maybe we can look at that. Well, maybe it could come to a point where that's not age appropriate for us to be working on yet. But if you have that dialogue, then you would be able to know. Ask questions, parents, ask questions, because some of us like questions, but if your therapist is good,
Yeah.
they will be able to show you and say, this is where we are, this is where we want to be in the 6 month period, this is how we're going to get there, these are the
Mm.
resources that I'm going to give you, these are the homework assignments for carryover that
Yeah.
I'm going to give you, that I need you to do. I need you to
Yeah.
report back to me, and then I have to get down to it. Report
Yeah.
back to me what
Yeah.
worked, what didn't work. Sometimes the strategies don't work for every child, or doesn't work for
Okay.
every child. So you have to then, tighten it up, refigure it out, and
Okay.
get into a rhythm of something that's working, and you're starting to see that progress, because
Got it.
ultimately we want to see that progress.
Got
So
it.
maybe we have to tweak something, we have to go to a different strategy. Maybe that strategy didn't work as well as we thought it would,
Got it.
but or it could be, nah, this is not working, let's see if we can change it up to that, or this
Okay.
one, and say, I want to see this more. How
Okay.
can you help me
Yeah.
get to the point where we need to get to?
Got it. Okay. So it's almost like I'm hearing, as a parent, we need to, number one, start with a great assessment and a great evaluation.
Yes, ma'am.
Make sure we have the right assessment to cover. Well, it almost sounds like you need to may have a variety of assessments, because I may listen to their vocabulary. I may all the parent sees is this one main problem, but the evaluator's job is to understand, I can use this assessment, that assessment, so I can give you a reason as to why. Correct?
Ask you what's going on. Yes, ma'am. And give
And
you a
then the next,
whole,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to give you a whole background to what's going on and what may be the issue, and then what the plan of care will be going forward.
Got it. So once we have that, have a good assessment, good baseline, then the next step is to, it really sounds like, to have a good relationship with your speech pathologist.
Yes, it's important, because
Okay.
that's your baby. That's who you're working with. That's
Okay.
that you're entrusting your care to.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the same way you have it, the same way you respect your pediatrician,
Ah,
go ahead and have that same open relationship with your speech pathologist. That's why we're here.
got it.
I
Okay.
like
So
parents to talk to me.
Me too. I love that.
Talk
Because
to me.
talk to me, girl. Let me know. Tell me, like, what's wrong? What's not going right? Keep me posted. Keep me in the loop.
Mm-hmm. So I
So,
can say the best.
right. So I guess my next question is, when should a parent feel like, I know what they say don't make sense, but maybe they just grow out of it. Like, when is something like a definitive time that you should reach out? What are the signs that a parent should begin that speech language evaluation?
So your pediatrician is going
Ah,
to give you is going to give you a list. Now that list is long, but I need you
okay,
to take it seriously.
okay,
Because if you then notice the developmental milestones, so Google speech
okay,
developmental milestones. There are plenty of charts there, and if you go on that list and you notice half of the list, at the age range your child is that they cannot do certain things,
mm-hmm,
by 2 years old,
okay.
you should say, and you were on the ball. You started early, like, hey, 18 months to 2 years old, that period of time.
Let me tell you, because I know how rapid you understand this too, because we're both in the same line of academics type stuff. When that gap gets big and the further that gap gets, I don't care what it is, it's harder to close it.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we can catch it the early, to the point my pediatrician was like, I don't really want to make this referral for you. She's like, because it's a burst of speech that will happen between now and two.
Come on, 2 years. I was go tell me about my burst of speech. Yes, I'm
I
sorry.
was like, but listen, I see what it's like when babies come and it's hand in hand. I don't have time for them games.
Early intervention. You're going to hear all your speech pathologists say this. Early intervention is key. The
Yeah.
earlier you come, the faster we can figure it out.
Oh, that's
The more
good.
time you have, because what you don't want to do, you do not want to wait until they turn 5. Get
Okay.
to the school and kindergarten's rough.
Girl, okay.
I Miss Destiny can tell you.
Okay.
To her, and I said, "Oh, I
Yeah.
wasn't ready." Now I'm in the field, but
Yeah.
as a parent, me as a speech language pathologist, and me as a parent was not ready because
Yes.
it came to you like boom. Okay, we talked about ABCs the first day, and that's it.
Yeah.
After that, they sent home a paper, and you need to be able to identify before you get into that door. When you step into that door,
Yes.
they're talking about ABC's the first day, not the first 9 weeks. Oh no,
Yeah.
because I think we had a test 3 weeks in,
Yeah.
sight word test. Like, so if you're missing sounds or those things have not already been addressed,
Yeah.
you're playing catch up, and you're
You're playing
still go ahead.
you're playing catch up, and not only are you playing catch up, because I did another interview with her name is Mo Fronberger. I hope I said your name right, Mo. Her Mo. But she basically is responsible for diagnosing like dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraph, like all of those things that we see. But she made such a good point that you just drove home. You don't want to wait. She said, my goal is, yes, I want to identify it, but even after I identify it, the goal is to close that gap, because that's where kids start recognizing like something is different. I'm learning this differently than my friends. And she said, and that's when the anxiety kicks in. So
I
you
see it.
okay.
I see it every day.
It goes beyond just you getting good grades or you speaking correctly. I'm trying to equip you with the tools you need so you can feel good. It's nothing, and I've seen this with my own eyes. It's nothing worse than a baby being in 7th and 8th grade and they know they have a hard time with reading. So now you're dealing with a whole different set of issues. So that's when, because honey, I'm all pro therapy. I tell my kids all the time, listen, mama go to therapy, and if I can't figure your stuff out, you going to therapy too.
Nothing wrong with it. I've been. It
You
helped.
know? So I appreciate that honest remark. You don't want to wait till 5 years is like too late. And I'm not gonna say too late, but at that point you're dealing with the kindergarten procedures. You're dealing with being in school. You're like, it's so much. The earlier you can get it, the better.
The better.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. We're
Right.
here to help you along your way. And if we're starting when you first recognize it,
Yeah.
you're right. We can close that gap and we can help you to be equipped for
Yeah.
what you're going to need later on.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
you don't want to have to battle two things. Now, if you do, that's fine. We're here to help you wherever
Right.
you are, wherever
Right.
wherever you are. If you figure it out, this you not while they're in school. Hey, come
Right.
on,
Right.
I'm here. We're going to work hard.
Okay.
We are going to work hard, and at that stage, you in school, Miss Melissa don't play. So
Right.
I'm here to work hard with you, but if you notice something now, if you notice that, okay, I tell them one step directions and they might not be able to follow it. If I
Right.
sit and read with my child and they're unable to attend to a story,
Right.
then we might want to look at something. There's no harm in getting an evaluation. There's
So
no harm in it.
so that's an excellent point. Like it don't hurt to try it.
Doesn't hurt.
And that brings me another point, because I've seen a lot of families who, I don't want to use the word denial, but sometimes it can be a thing of like, I did something, like they own the issues. Talk to the audience about how that's just really the way the brain operates. Like, it's nothing that you could have done differently for this
Right.
outcome. Talk to me about that.
There is nothing that you could have done differently. And we're here to give you resources and tools to help you,
Right.
to help you. And I understand that mom guilt. I
Yeah.
had it. I probably still have a touch of it.
I got some of
Now,
it now. Yeah.
yeah, that mom guilt, because the mom guilt is real, and you're saying, okay, well, why aren't my kids like this kid or these
Mm,
children? They can't play with this group because maybe they only have 10 words, or maybe they
yeah.
might have another diagnosis that may impact them otherwise
Mm,
social abilities. But no one's here to judge you.
right.
If anything, I can relate to you
Right.
and can say, I've been there. I
Okay.
knew about it. It's okay. Girl, come give me a hug. Let's sit
Okay.
down with this baby. Let's evaluate. Let's plan. Let's treat.
Right.
And that's all that you have to do.
Right.
And, the sooner, the
The
better.
better. Okay.
And where you can come into a loving atmosphere,
Yeah.
where you really can say, okay, well, this person took care of me because I'm gonna treat you
Right.
like my family.
Okay.
And we're not going to sugarcoat anything, or I can make other recommendations, professional recommendations, and say,
Right.
okay, these are the areas that we need to look at. Or if you're young enough, I'm saying, okay, hey, we need to go ahead and get enrolled in a preschool class or a daycare setting, maybe 1 or 2 days, get
Right.
the child around other children, have them different communication partners,
Right.
all of that stuff is really valuable.
So let me ask you this, because I can hear mom saying, and that was part of my question earlier too. How long does it take for you to see like results? Or talk to me about that.
I do not put time limits on anything.
Okay.
And this is what I say, it's a journey. So it,
Okay.
it is a nerve-wracking
Okay.
ride because it literally depends. I really don't know how or when, but what I can say, I will give you resources. I will give you carryover activities. If you put in how much you put in, you will get out.
Oh, I'm gonna start using that.
How much you put in, you
Is
will
what you're gonna get out.
what you're gonna get out. I have a special parent that I talk to all the time.
Uh-huh.
You know, I we started doing homework,
Okay.
and from that, she said, I can see a difference. I can, just
Mm,
like school. You do your homework.
mm-hmm.
The days that you're not with me, the times that you're not with me, drill it. Let's go.
Yeah.
You can get different things, and there are different websites and apps and all of that stuff
Yeah.
that you can literally download. And while they're on that tablet, okay, we're going to carve out a time to work on these goals, and you will start to see the progression.
Progression.
So I get that question a lot of, how long is this going to take? And I said, it
Because
depends on you and your
yeah.
future.
And cause I asked that question because even with my own child, I was like, listen now, we talking about sea otters and vocabulary. Come on, you know. So
It's even more. Sometimes if your insurance is paying for you, you're like, oh, take as long as you need. Now sometimes you're paying out of pocket. That's a different subject.
girl, listen, let me tell you, we have insurance that covered it, but it was so I'm telling all my business on air. Well, y'all know, Miss Destiny, keep it real. It's like you once you were billed, I think at a certain point, then it had to go up to a certain amount again to get it back down to like our little regular $10 payment. I was like, hello.
Don't even get me started with insurance. But I love y'all. You know, you have a part of your insurance company. I love y'all.
I'm telling you. But that brings up a good point. What about like families who, and I know you probably can only speak of for North Carolina, but like, say a family is enrolled in Medicaid or something along, or like the family child, like anything along those lines. Does Medicaid cover in North Carolina speech services?
Yes, ma'am. North Carolina Medicaid covers 100% of the cost of the evaluation and future treatment services. So, it really it is great. It's great. Use it wisely, but it's great. You
Okay.
make sure you come to your therapy sessions now, because a lot of people have attendance policies. So you want to make sure you're using it appropriately.
Okay.
And you can get the best, for free. For free. You don't have to worry about coming out of your pocket. You don't have to worry about any of that. It's all taken care of with that one insurance. I know.
Okay.
I know.
That's a blessing.
It's a blessing. And
so it's really no excuse. Okay.
No excuse.
So
None whatsoever.
This brings me to my next question, okay? And I don't think I put it on there. Let me see. Did I put it on there?
It's on Matt. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Ready. Do you offer I know you offer teletherapy. Do you offer teletherapy or evaluations for people like outside of North Carolina or outside of your covering areas that you do now?
That is something, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, that I am looking to, because with, I guess, call it post-corona.
Okay.
Post-corona for our field is going to open up. And we are going to be able, I'm seeing in the future that we are going to be able to cross barriers. We're going to be able to cross state lines.
Okay.
Through the means of the internet and Zoom, things like Zoom and Doxy and Google Classroom. Yeah. We're going to be able to meet with others across the line. Okay. And I can be somewhere here in North Carolina, and you can be somewhere in California.
Wow. Okay.
To be able to get the services. Now, unfortunately, we're dealing with legislation.
Okay.
With insurance companies, and sometimes that's a little bit tricky, but we would have to definitely check into each of them to make sure that we're doing everything appropriate and that I don't have my license taken from me by trees.
We got mouths to feed, okay?
Right. So, making sure that, everything adds up. And I'm a person that will say, hey, let me check on this for you. And if we can go ahead and move forward. And I have no problem with that. I would love that.
So do me a favor, where can people find you online? Like if somebody said, I'm ready to work with the Ross Rehabilitation Service, where can they find you?
Well, we're still a growing business. And I work with someone on those good websites. So coming soon, you will be able to visit our website at rossrehabnc.com. So
come on now.
Keep you updated when we go live.
Okay.
And love for you to just fill it up. Come on. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to give you a phone number. And I'm going to give you an email address.
Okay, go ahead. And I'm going to put it in the description box, y'all. So when you get to this part, you just click at the bottom and you got all her information.
I'm going to tell you this. If you have a question, email me. Please. Now, it doesn't matter. You can think of the craziest question, email me, because I will email you back. And I want to be able to help you along in your journey. So my email address is rossrehabservices@gmail.com. So you
Okay.
can go there, type me any question, and I will give you feedback if you want to know how the process goes, or any
Mm,
question with your child, then you can let me know. Or you can call me at 919-672-8712.
okay.
Now leave a message now, okay? Because I'm a worker. I'm a worker. So you leave me a message or you text the number. Hey, that's fine. I'll text you back.
Okay.
And I can definitely make sure I get resources or information to you that you will need.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Ross.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh my God. I was nervous at first, but honey,
Girl, no, it's just us. We
you
talk
made it.
crazy.
You, you made it all right.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
So thank you so much for joining us, guys. It is me, Destiny Gilliam again. Again, I need to get my speech together. Um, if you are interested in working with us or working with Miss Ross, please click the description box in the bottom. Make sure to like this, subscribe to the channel, and more than anything, if you know a mama that can use it, make sure you share. Peace.
Yeah.